Hey gang, Jeff here with missionmusician.com. Got another video for you. And today we're going to talk about how to start a mix. I'll say that this is highly subjective. There's no right or wrong way at all. The very first thing, though, I would recommend everyone to do is start with the static mix. And what a static mix is just balancing all of your instruments and vocals against one another and get the best possible mix you can before adding any plugins at all. Get everything panned. Spend some time here and really get the best possible mix you can. Even if you've got to spend a half hour, and then maybe bounce it down so you have it as a reference. Okay, so but so a lot of people want to know what instrument you start with, and that's not really crucial. It's really genre specific. I guess it is crucial. I guess I shouldn't say that. That's not true. For example, in rock music and even pop music, I would probably start with the drums because they're always, not always, but usually they are big sounding and punchy and powerful. So I want to get that foundation set by mixing the drums really to themselves at first and just getting a big drum sound. Then I can tweak it during the mix if I need to, but I want to focus on getting that big drum sound first. Like if it's an indie song, I probably won't start with the drums. I'll probably focus on the vocal first, because indie songs are kind of vocal centric, maybe acoustic guitar centric. Excuse me. And sometimes I'll even just literally start with the vocal and get it in a good spot, and then that is my kind of reference for how the rest of the tracks should fit into the mix. Now, I don't do this super often. I picked up that tip from someone else, and I do it every once in a while, but I can always squeeze a vocal into a track, always. I can make a vocal work in a track no matter what. The reason why I would start with a vocal in some instances is because I want to get the vocal bright and where generally it'll be sitting, and then I'll kind of carve everything else around that. But I don't usually do that. I usually start with the drums. But tonight I don't even really want to excuse me, talk about what instrument to start with. You can start really with drums or the most important instrument, if it's a piano-driven song, you may want to start with that. Pick the most important instrument to start with if you'd like. That's a good tip. And then also, when you start mix in the busiest part of the song, the apex of the song, if it's a bridge or the last chorus or whatever. But I don't really even want to talk about that tonight. What I want to talk about is top-down mixing, and how, before you even put plugins on your individual tracks, how top-down mixing can clean your whole song up so you're using less processing on each individual track. And so let's talk about that really quick. All top-down mixing is mixing on the bus level, and I'm talking about minor tweaks. For example, where I'll start a mix at, once I've got all the tracks, once I have a static mix going, I'll start the mix on the sub mix bus with all the instruments in. I will do a little bit of EQ moves, and I'm talking about little moves. That's 2.5 dB. That's 2. So I'm just doing some little EQ moves. All this other stuff is adding a little bit of color. The FG73 is a preamp emulation. The VCC is a console emulation. Revival is just a sonic enhancer, and you can see I'm not doing massive things here. And then I've got FG Bomber, and the intensity is like really low, so it's not doing a whole lot. It's just adding a little bit of color, and then I put on a compressor and just do a little tiny bit of compression. I'm talking about 1 to 2 dB of compression, and then I follow that up with a tape machine. And you can just use an EQ and a stock compressor here and get great results. Okay, so that is affecting all of these tracks. So all of these tracks are ran to this bus. Okay, so I am affecting all the tracks by top-down mixing, starting at the end of the session and or wherever you have your submix, wherever you have all your tracks flowing to. I personally start there. Now, you definitely don't have to do that. There's no rules to recording, really. I'm just giving you some insight as to how I mix a song, or how I start mixing a song. Okay, and then I go to the bus level of each group of instruments. For example, these are all my drums, and they're run to this drum bus. All right, and up on this drum bus, I have VMR, again with some analog with some preamp and console emulation. Again, small cuts. This one's actually, back that off a little bit. Small cuts and small boosts. Again, I got the FG Bomber, and I'm actually going to turn that down a little bit. All right, and then I follow that up with the compressor. Okay, so, and then I have my bass bus. And a lot of times, well, I shouldn't say that. I almost always use a bass bus, but I mix on the bus or on the bass track itself. But I do have a little bit of stuff going here just to kind of clear the bass up a little bit. It's a little muddy. So I just did a couple of small tweaks. Just added a little bit. Oh, darn it. Yeah, I think it was at like 1.5, somewhere in there. And then just a tiny bit of compression. I'm getting maybe 1 dB of compression here. I'll fine tune it on the bass track itself. And then again, all these are guitars, and they are running to the guitar bus. And I just have the same thing, preamp and console emulation, pulling out just a little bit of mud at around 599, not much, just 1.5 dB. And then I'm rolling off the low end with the high pass filter, and I may be getting a 0.5 dB of gain reduction that's coming from the acoustic guitar because it's strumming really hard. The compression is not really even affecting any of the distorted guitars. And then I have some piano and keyboards. They're coming to this bus again. It's pretty much the same setup. Now here I did boost the highs by 8 dB. I don't know why this keeps moving like this. My mouse is acting up on me. So that's a lot. But I find with keyboards and pianos that if it's not a real piano, you really need to boost the highs up. It's when it's sampled stuff, in order to make it sound more real and more alive, you really got to boost the crap out of the highs, and that's what I've done here. Now I may eventually back that off, and then I rolled off quite a bit of lows, almost up to 100. Matter of fact, I probably may even roll up a little bit more, because I don't want any of that stuff down with the bass and the kick drum. Now if it was a piano driven song, I may not do that, but, and then I'm gonna back that off a little bit too. Okay, so, and then last thing is the vocals. I just got a stock EQ and a stock compressor. All right, and so there's no plugins on the individual tracks themselves, except for a trim plugin where I am just bringing the volume of the tracks down I'm gain staging this whole song using trim plugins. All right, so let's really quick, I'm going to select all of these buses where I have all of the processing going on, and let me turn all this off, and I'm going to play the song. And remember, none of the channels have any kind of processing on them. Only the buses are affected here. And let's listen, and then I'll bring these in. Okay, so not like a massive change, but definitely a change, especially where the keyboards are involved. If I just solo, let's see, I just solo these and open this up. Hear all that low end rumble? I don't need that. The bass is taking care of the low end. I don't want that in this mix. So it goes away, and then, like I said, we got a really big boost here to kind of make the keyboards themselves, the samples, sound bigger. What is going on here? My computer is just freaking out. All right. So let's right, so it gets way brighter and way less muddy and rumbly. All right, so that is how I normally start a mix. I start it with top-down mixing because it normally gets me in the ballpark of the song. Again, we're not talking about massive moves here. We're just talking about a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression to get us started in the right direction. And then we can go and start working on individual tracks. If you want to start with the drums, hey, awesome. If you want to start with the vocals, that's fine too. Even if you want to start with the piano, you can do that. There's no real rules. Just when you're starting your mix, give top-down mixing a try, and then select an instrument that you want to start with. Usually it would be the most important instrument, and honestly, the most important instrument in most music is the vocal, but the secondary may be the drums or a piano. So you may want to start there. Super easy to, I say this, but at least for me now, it's super easy for me to fit a vocal into a track, no problem, because I've been mixing for a long time. But give this a shot on your next mix if you want to, and see how it goes for you. See if you like doing this. I actually really like doing this. And I probably started doing this maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I just like the way it cleans everything up before I even start applying effects on the individual tracks. All right, so that's all I got for you today. Comment below if you have any questions. Always love hearing from all of you guys. I honestly do, and I'm pretty active, as you can see on my other YouTube videos. I do respond. So if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask. Also, you can visit my website over at www.missionmusician.com, and please subscribe to my channel. I put a lot of these videos up on mixing and recording and all that kind of stuff, and I got some fun stuff planned here coming up. So I will see you soon in another video. Have a great night. Bye-bye.